Mint-based fragrances. I love mint-based fragrances, especially for the summertime. That cooling, crisp mint. It can be done in so many different ways, and every time mint is added to a fragrance as a main note, I'm always super interested because they tend to go in their own direction a lot of times. And that's exactly what we get here in Azzaro's Wild Mint. So today we have a review of this fragrance. I'm gonna go over every aspect of it. We have a ton of stuff to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Yo, what's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we have a review of Wild Mint by Azzaro. So if you've tried this one before, leave down in the comment section below right now your ratings from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, of course, and maybe I'll tally them up and present it to you guys in future videos. So before we jump right into the scent of this one, let's jump first into the presentation. So let's look at the presentation for Azzaro's Wild Mint. The box here is very simplistic. Azzaro logo in the middle, Azzaro Parfum up top, and the name of the fragrance, Wild Mint, here at the bottom with the concentration Eau de Toilette. Bottom here it says Azzaro as well. I know it's not clear on camera, but it does say Azzaro down here. On the side here, you don't have anything on one side, and on the other side, you have some ingredient listed, some contact info for Azzaro. On the top here, you have the Azzaro logo. The bottom here, you have the barcode, and the back of the box, you have a picture of the bottle. Now onto the bottle. Is really nice in my opinion. It has a green to black gradient. I really love the new color of these Azzaro bottles. You see Azzaro Parfum here at the top, Azzaro at the bottom here as well, very much mirroring the box with the name of the fragrance again right here, Wild Mint, and Azzaro logo in the front here. The cap itself is plastic, but it feels very firm, so it's not like a flimsy piece of plastic, but it is plastic. The bottom of the bottle, you're gonna see here your batch code, but it's very, very faint on mine. It's like it got rubbed off or something. I can't really see it on mine, so it won't show too good on camera, but there is some batch code information down here. The atomizer on this fragrance is pretty good. It sprays a lot of juice out and it covers quite a bit of an area, so it's a really good atomizer. One thing I will note, sometimes when you spray these Azzaro Parfum fragrances, the new one, you might get a little bit of leaks sometime in the collar and sometime up here on the sprayer. I've noticed this with Wild Mint and the bottle of Ginger Lover that I own. No other bottles have that problem so far. I noticed that with only Wild Mint and my bottle of Ginger Lover, which you might experience yourself if you purchase a bottle of this or any of its other variants. Alright, now Azzaro Parfum's Wild Mint. The notes of this one, we have top notes of bergamot, calypso, mid notes of spearmint, fir, and pine, and base notes of patchouli and vetiver. Now, in the opening, I'm gonna be very, very, very honest with you guys. I, for some reason, don't get any bergamot. Like, I smell it, I'm like, yeah, I do not get any bergamot whatsoever from this one. Some people might think there's a little bit of a singiness, maybe a citrusiness that could be considered bergamot, but to me, I don't really get the bergamot. In the opening, what I get is a giant blast of mint. The mint in here, so strong, so powerful, and it's a type of mint that will turn heads right away. Regardless of who walk past you, if they get a whiff of this mint, they can be like, whoa. Whether that's a good whoa or a bad whoa, it's still like a head turner. It's a really strong, aggressive mint, and I love it. The mint here, like I said, aggressive, big, loud, but it's also very deep and rich at the same time. Now, most mint tend to be a little bit more airy, a little bit more fresh, and kind of like in the air in a way, but this mint is grounded, it's deep, and it's due to the pine and the fir. The pine and the fir adds a lot of rich greenness, which complements the mint really well. It makes the mint feels raw and rich. It makes it feel like you have a bunch of mint leaves in your hand, you're crushing it with your other hand, you're smelling it right away. That's how rich the mint comes across, and that's due to the rich greenness that's coming from the pine and the fir that's backing up that mint from behind. It is a fantastic mint opening. It's probably one of the most unique mint opening I've ever smelled, and oof, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Now into the mint dies down unfortunately fast. Like a lot of mint notes out there in designer fragrances or in sometimes niche fragrances, the mint does not last, and that's unfortunately the case with this one. So when you jump into the mid notes, you're gonna get more of that calypsone, which was listed at the top note for some reason, but you smell that calypsone throughout the entirety of this fragrance. And if you guys don't know what calypsone is, it's an accord created by Givaudan that's supposed to smell like ozonic notes mixed with melon notes, and you get exactly that, like 100% exactly that description in this one. It smells ozonic, effervescence, airy, with a little bit of light, fresh, sweet melon notes in there. Smells fantastic, and you get a lot of that here in the mid. Now the patchouli and the vetiver, honestly, I don't get much of the vetiver just yet. The patchouli kind of serves to darken the fragrance just a little bit, so it doesn't add any earthy tones per se like most patchoulis do. This is not a very strong patchouli. It just serves to ground the fragrance just a little bit, bring it down to earth, darkening it just a little bit to add that kind of a rich base type of feeling, so it's not at all an earthy patchouli. The vetiver in here, it doesn't come off quite yet on my skin in the mid. It might give it a little bit of a clean vibe right now, but it's barely noticeable in the mid. In the mid, what you're gonna get is the residual freshness from the mint that still lingers just a little bit. The mint itself, the fresh, aggressive mint itself is gone at this point. You're gonna get, again, just that residual plus the ozonic and fruity melon note alongside a little bit of patchouli to darken the base. At this point, I like the fragrance. It smells mass appealing. I am disappointed because I love the opening much more, but at this point in time, the fragrance does smell nice and it's something that I can see you getting actual compliments with. So there's that. Now in the dry down is where the vetiver starts to come out more. It starts to become a little bit cleaner, a little bit more smooth. And that's one thing you gotta notice about this fragrance is that although it's a relatively cheap fragrance, it doesn't smell too harsh. It doesn't come across too scratchy or too synthetic-y, too metallic-y. It's rather smooth. And I think that has to do with the vetiver and the patchouli being the notes that kind of ground the fragrance really well towards the end. And yeah, it comes across a lot smoother than one may expect from a fragrance like this. So yeah, I really like the quality of the dry down in this one, not harsh at all. Now in terms of the scent of the dry down, you're gonna get that ozonic note still, that calypso still, with a little bit less patchouli now, a little bit less darkness, a little bit more cleanness from the vetiver. So the vetiver on my skin comes up towards the end of the fragrance. Jumping into the uniqueness of this fragrance, how unique is this one? This one is fairly unique. This one surprised me right off the bat when I first smelled it, and the more I smell it in the mid and the dry down, I'm kind of thinking that I haven't really smelled anything that is close to this. I smell some designers that gives off a similar kind of refreshing vibe, but overall smell is pretty unique. So if you're looking for a unique designer scent that would kind of surprise you when you smell it, this is definitely one that I guarantee you 100%, at least in the opening, will definitely surprise you. And in the mid and the dry down as well, it's not gonna feel too familiar or too similar to the fragrances that you already own in your collection, so huge plus in uniqueness. Now let's talk about mass appeal. How mass appealing is this one? In the opening, it could go really either way. The first 30 minutes when the mint is super aggressive, some people may like it, some people might think it's too much, so beware for that first initial 30 minutes, it can really go either way. In the mid and the dry down, however, this fragrance just becomes mass appealing. It's not the most mass appealing fragrance in the world, it's not All-Star, it's not Dior Sauvage or Dylan Blue or the 180p, nothing like that, but it's mass appealing enough to where you can feel fairly comfortable wearing this in majority of situations, and the majority of people will not mind this fragrance or in fact even enjoy the fragrance. So this fragrance in the mid and dry down becomes quite mass appealing and quite safe, which is really nice. Moving on, we have the performance of this thing, and this thing longevity wise lasts on my skin only 4 to 5 hours, unfortunately. So it's not the best performing fragrance out there. I really wish it lasts longer, but normally 4 to 5 hours would be okay for me if the projection was good. And that's the key word, if the projection was good. The projection on this one, oh man, it's so unfortunate. Why does a fragrance like this have poor projection? This one projects really heavily, like aggressively heavily in the first 30 minutes. The mint there really destroys the cloud. Like it choked me out for the first 30 minutes. But after the mint goes away, that's when the projection goes away as well. So around an hour and a half into the fragrance, you're gonna find the scent sitting fairly close to your skin, which is not ideal whatsoever for a summer scent. I want it to project more. I want to be in the air more, keeping me refreshed and invigorated, but it just doesn't do that. The projection on this one is only up to an hour and a half point, longevity 4 to 5 hours. So performance-wise, this is not ideal, which is sad because the scent, again, is so magnificent. Next, we have the versatility. This one season-wise, summer, definitely. Spring, definitely. Fall, maybe not so much fall. It doesn't smell too much like fall. You can definitely use it in fall though, but doesn't smell too much like a fall fragrance. It doesn't give you the cozy, nice, warm, rich feeling. It's more invigorating, more summery, more spring. So definitely spring and summertime is the season I would choose to wear this fragrance. In terms of occasion, you can wear this pretty much any time. There's really no takeaway with a scent like this. Mint smells refreshing, and that ozonic nose really gives off a nice, invigorating, mass appealing vibe. So there's no bad time to wear a scent like this. The only thing that hinders when this fragrance can be worn is the performance. So you might not want to wear this one at times where you're going to be out for a long periods of time, like 6+ hours. This one will just not last you that long. Unless you bring a little decant with you to reapply, this fragrance is just not going to do it for you if you're going out for a very long time. This one, I would say the best time I see you wearing this is any time at all when you're running a quick errand. Maybe you're going for a quick house party for an hour or two. You're going to the bar with your friends. Those type of occasions where you're only going to be out for maximum 3 to 4 hours. This one would be really, really good for that because it does just smell so different, invigorating, fresh. And for those type of fun, extrovert occasion, this one fits really well because again, the mintiness in here, the freshness in here does come off aggressive, but at the same time, extroverted, fun, and confident. So definitely good choice for nights out, for bars, for house parties. Not really the club unless you're planning on being there for a short amount of time. But yes, nights out occasion, anytime at all when you're gonna go see your buddies, this one is just magic for that first couple hours or so. Next, let's talk about the price of Wild Mint. Now, retail price, I haven't been able to find any retail price associated with Wild Mint. I have found discounted price though, so the cheapest I've found it was on Fragrance X. It's not sponsored. Fragrance X sells this bottle, 100 ml, for $26. And as far as I know, 100 ml is the only size bottle that it comes in. And other discounters I've seen sells this fragrance for around $35 and at most $50 I've seen on one website, $49 to be exact. So it ranges around $26 to $49, $35 to $40 being the more common prices for this fragrance. The only places that I found cheaper, again, is Fragrance X for $26. So yeah, at that price point, is it a good deal? I would say the maximum I'll pay for this fragrance myself is $35. So if you find anywhere for $35 or lower, it's a fantastic deal for a scent like this. It's so unique. There's quite a lot of uses for this one as well. Versatility is good. Just the performance is bad, but overall, for $35 and below, and if you can grab it off Fragrance X for $26 for a scent like this, absolutely killer deal. I would go ahead and grab that one right away, to be perfectly honest with you, before it's all gone off Fragrance X and you have to spend 35 bucks. I mean, might as well save 9 bucks while you can. It is cheap, and if you don't like it, you can always just resell it for 30 and get all that money back. Now for my final thoughts on Azzaro's Wild Mint. This one to me, after going through all the numbers, all the considerations, I'm gonna give this one a C tier with a recommendation to buy a bottle. So nope, this one is not one that I recommend you sample first or recommend you get a partial off, simply because the price is very affordable. And if you want to try this one, you might as well just get the bottle. Again, if you don't like it, you could always sell it back and make that money back or even profit a little out of it. There's no sense in buying a $10 decant of this fragrance when the full bottle is only $26. So I recommend you just get a full bottle of this one if you want to try it. Now, the C tier rating, if you guys want to know more about how I do my ratings, I'm going to leave everything in the description below. I go through a lot of different categories, a lot of different numbers to come up with this rating. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on to this rating. But to quickly summarize this fragrance for you, this to me is a fantastic release from Azzaro. It smells very unique. I love how the mint is done here. It doesn't smell a lot like any other mint fragrances that I've tried, which is really, really nice. The massive healing factor is also there, not super massive, but it's also there. The only downside to this fragrance, at the end of the day, the only thing that kills it is the performance. If this performed better, it would have easily have been a B tier fragrance or perhaps even an A tier fragrance, something that is a must have in your collection. But the fact that it doesn't perform really kills a lot of potential in this fragrance because it becomes less practical to own if it doesn't perform. You can wear it in less situations, so that's really the only downside to this one. In terms of anything else at all, the price, the scent, the bottle presentation, everything else, even the quality of how the nose comes off, this fragrance is really nice. And lastly, I'll have to say, don't let the score scare you. This fragrance, although it got a C tier, is not a bad fragrance at all. For $26 or even $35 for quality like this and uniqueness like this, I would say is still a really worth it fragrance to purchase if you're into the note of mint. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I would say if you like the note of mint, there's a couple fragrances I would suggest you go try out. I suggest you go try out Jean Paul Gaultier's La Main Eau Fraiche. That one also has a really nice mint note. There's also Crypto Mint from Mugler, which is also nice as well. It has like a mint chocolate chip. And another really nice mint fragrance is a niche one, is Renaissance by Serjoff. That one comes off a little bit more medicinal kind of mint. So yeah, those are three very different kind of mints you can go try out if you do like the note of mint. And if you tried Azzaro's Wild Mint and you enjoy it, those three fragrances are good for you to expand your palette as well when it comes to the note of mint. Alright guys, that's it for the review. Thank you so much for watching. I do have a new rating system, as you guys may notice, new graphics, new rating system. If you guys want to know more about how I rate these fragrances, all the info is in the description below. I spend hours on coming up with the right numbers, tweaking it to make it feel very fair across the board for all fragrances. So check out my system down in the description below. I'm really happy about it. And just a quick note before I end this video, I'm gonna be re-reviewing a lot of fragrances that I reviewed in the past, just to kind of bring those fragrances into this system and make it current. So you guys can easily compare and contrast which fragrances are better for whatever reason. So yeah, with that said, this was a long video. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and bye.